Hello everyone, it's Julie from sproutsandstems.com here, and today's video is going to be all about the neon pothos. So tips and tricks for the neon pothos, because I have found this pothos to be kind of quirky. So before I get into that, please take 2 seconds to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any new planty content from me. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Please hit that subscribe button. It'll really help me out. And check out the description for links to exclusive content and anything else that I mentioned in my videos. And now we'll get into the tips. So I've definitely found the neon pothos in particular to be different from other pothos in terms of its care requirements and a little more tricky. This has just been my personal experience. I'm very curious if any of you have experienced the same thing. So if you have any thoughts, comments, or any of your own tips, be sure to put that in the comments. Also, really quick, I wanted to discuss the differences between neon pothos and lemon lime philodendron. They do look very similar. They're basically the same color. So there are a few differences, but the most obvious ways you can tell them apart is that the neon pothos in general have more, I guess, like arrow-shaped leaves. They're more just kind of like, there's not a lot of detail to the shape. They're just a standard leaf shape. Whereas philodendrons are more heart-shaped. They'll have more of a curve and more of a tip to the leaf. It's more of like an intricate, detailed heart shape. The philodendron's leaves, not always, but they tend to be smaller than pothos leaves. I would say the third obvious way to tell them apart is that pothos tend to have like thicker leaves, and philodendron's leaves tend to feel a little bit more smooth and thin and delicate. Like you can see right here, there's like bumps, kind of like a texture on the pothos that the philodendron won't have. So that's the quick differences. And for my tips, tip number one is that I found the neon pothos doesn't like too much light. Most pothos will really enjoy bright indirect light, but I have found that this plant is sensitive to that. I've tried having it outside before in the warm weather, and it got really sensitive and sunburned a lot easier than the other plants out there. So I now just keep it in like a medium amount of light. One thing I've also noticed is that it likes to dry out more than other pothos. Pothos are jungle plants. They typically like to remain evenly moist, not soaking wet, but like you'd water it when the soil is dry, about an inch or so, maybe 2 inches down. So it never really totally dries out. This one, I've noticed that it's a lot more sensitive to overwatering and it wants to dry out a lot more. Another thing I've noticed is that they are a lot more sensitive to cold weather, cold drafts from a vent, being right up next to a cold window. So this is one that I definitely make sure to move further into the room in the winter instead of leaving it hanging up in my window. Now, this isn't really like a quirk of this plant, but just something I've noticed is that they do really enjoy being fertilized. I fertilize it once a month in the spring and summer, and I just used my favorite balanced all-purpose fertilizer, Jack's Classic Fertilizer, which I'll link in the description. I don't always fertilize pothos because they grow so quickly anyway, and I don't always feel the need to. This one I know will always love and respond well to being fertilized, and since it's so finicky with growth in general, finicky with its care requirements, I definitely want to do what I can to have it grow as big and beautiful as possible. It's so pretty. And then last but not least, there's no need to repot unnecessarily. I just repot when I see roots coming out of the drainage holes, and then I know it's root bound. If it starts to have really stunted growth, then it's probably root bound and needs a bigger pot. You can always slip the root ball out of the pot and check if it's root bound, which is just a ton of coiled roots around the bottom wanting to grow out of the holes and burst out of the pot and look for more room. Repot when root bound, but no need to repot unnecessarily. I will show you some leaves or some cool random like variegated spots. Like this. I got this plant at the Home Depot a few years ago, by the way. So let me know if you have experienced similar things as I have with the neon pothos, or if there's another plant that you're like, this plant shouldn't be so weird, but it is weird. I am curious to know how pretty it is. I have it all full and nice and bushy like this because it's a few vines that are hanging down, but I've like looped it up and around the hanger. Don't hit me, please, to get this look. So yeah. So thanks so much for watching today, everyone. I hope you maybe feel inspired to tackle the neon pothos. It's a really beautiful and awesome plant once you get the hang of it. And I'll see you guys next time.